Bumblebee. More like Bumble C minus.
Ew.
That's the grade I would give this movie, probably.
That's the grade
Maybe
I'd give
C
your
plus.
joke.
Fair.
Yikes.
Star Wars, Transformers, Godzilla, animation, whatever else. Rebels, robots, and etc.
It's Wednesday night, and Cameron and Rachel are hanging out once again, which must mean that it's Starformers night. Welcome to Rebels and Robots and etc. episode 63. I'm Cameron.
I'm Rachel.
And this is our bi-weekly chat about Star Wars and
Transformers.
And
etc.
animation, etc. Whatever else we both like to talk about. Today, we are finally coming back around to the formers part of Starformers, to the robots part of Rebels and Robots. It is officially Septformers month because Transformers 1 comes out this month. And that will be the next episode. Exciting. We're almost there. And so this week we are talking about the final Transformers film that we have not talked about in this podcast that is also a prequel, so it kind of nicely wraps up our Transformers series that started a year ago with Hotbot Summer. We are going to talk about 2018's Bumblebee, originally titled, I believe, Transformers Universe, Bumblebee. You lose the Transformers Universe, it's cleaner. Anyways, but before we get there, but also, so the if the opening terrible joke didn't cue you in, there's not a ton to talk about with that film. It's kind of just okay. So in addition to that, Rachel and I are both going to pitch our own ideas for an ideal Transformers film. So that will come after our review of Bumblebee. Very excited for that. Neither of us have any idea what the other one is going to say. Anything could happen. But before that, as always, we have recent thoughts and news. I have a very exciting piece of news, but I will let you start with, see if you start with it.
My first news is sad. I actually have sad news for the most part this week.
This is very recent. This happened yesterday, 2 days ago.
Mm-hmm, yeah, probably some of like the biggest news is that James Earl Jones died, who is, you know who he is. You've heard him in something. You've heard him in Broadway or in movies. In relation to our podcast, he is the voice of Darth Vader.
Yeah, man.
Well, the dubbed voice of Darth Vader.
Yeah. He's
he
always
is Darth
like
Vader
in every appearance on movies.
He's
even up to
Mufasa
the
in
more
Lion
recent one.
King.
Yeah.
So died at 93. So
dang, dude.
Not. It is. It's so sad because such talent. Also, the man was 93. What an age to get up to. So that's probably like some of the biggest news that I have. You want me to go through mine?
Yeah,
or
I just
end on a happy note.
Alice and I just watched Kenobi, and it was only my second time watching this show.
Ooh.
And
did it age better?
It is nice to be able to watch it all the way through. But what stuck that is still the same is the Vader stuff is just incredible, and that is like it cannot be understated how significant James Earl Jones' performance as the voice of Vader. Now, I think what is often overlooked is the body performance, but the combination of the two, I think you could have a underwhelming body performance, but if the voice was not there, it would be awful. If you've ever seen the footage from the original film of the David Prowse, the on-set actor for Vader, doing the voice live with his posh British accent, showed how significant the voice was to the success of this character. And the fact that he was also willing to come back for stuff like Rebels. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you're watching Rebels and Vader sounds weird, the whole show kind of shifts negatively. But especially those episodes with him feel so significantly more real. It makes the heroes themselves feel like they are doing something significant, Because like pretty much in that time period, if you're doing something as a rebel and Vader doesn't show up at some point, it kind of makes
You're
your
not
characters
doing
feel insignificant.
rebellion, right?
Rachel is currently trying to stick a hair in my laptop speaker.
It's an Athena whisker.
Oh, that makes more sense.
It's a gift.
But yeah, of course, Mufasa, one of your favorite movies.
That's going to make the Hans Zimmer concert like way worse. Someone was talking, I think it was Saturday or Sunday actually, that he actually passed away. But someone said, so I'm going to go see Hans Zimmer in concert in the next few weeks. I'm not going to tell you where, even though I have to travel quite a ways for it. Is Monday that they announced it. So Sunday, someone kind of poetically was like, how beautiful to listen, because Hans Zimmer's doing a rendition from his Lion King soundtrack in his live concerts. And it was like, how beautiful to listen to this track, like in probably what was his last hours. So I was like, crying over TikTok in my office.
A couple additional notes about James Earl Jones. In 1976, in a movie called The River Niger, he played a character named Johnny Williams.
That's funny.
Which is great. And then in 1977, here's the thing he was in that it falls under our crossover interests. He played a character named Balthazar in a TV miniseries called Jesus of Nazareth.
Oh. What a niche. Not niche, actually. But
very specific.
Yeah.
But weirdly, never a Transformer voice, ever, which is kind of crazy to me. And
I think it's hard because you had so many big wigs already in Transformers. Frank Welker,
yeah,
Peter Cullen.
But like those are like,
you can't have too many cool
they are
voices
big as voice actors. But you feel like, especially the Bay movies, would have
I probably
attempted. I mean, they had Leonard Nimoy at one point.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I think it's hard. I don't know who you would cast him as in the already established characters.
I feel like just any, especially like Decepticon.
He would have been a good Alpha Trion.
Absolutely. Though looking at his filmography, he really did not do that much voice acting, which is pretty surprising.
He's done a lot of stage
all things
acting.
Considered. And less surprising, but he was also never in a Kong or a Godzilla movie. Yeah, one of the very few voice roles I'm actually seeing in here. He did one episode. The character's name is Diablo, so I'm guessing the devil, in Garfield and Friends in 1992. That's pretty great. Yeah, I mean, it's so crazy because like Mufasa is such an incredible voice performance that you think he would have done.
He got his bag and he was done.
Yeah, really. Yeah, he got that Disney money. You don't go back after that.
I don't think another movie crossed Lion King's box office until Frozen.
I'd be interested to look that up. That's interesting.
I ain't nothing but a truther.
He was the voice of Santa Claus in the. Do you remember the cartoon Recess? Back in.
I watched the heck out of that
he
show.
was Santa Claus in that show. That's pretty nuts.
Huh.
He also voiced Santa Claus in a Oh no, that's also still Recess. It's just a different it's a straight to video movie. Mm-hmm. I was just seeing if there was any other animated films, since that falls under the peripheral of this podcast.
I unfortunately have to specify the 1994 Lion King and not the 2019.
Well, he is one of your favorites, but he's in both. He plays Mufasa in both. Like he's such a irreplaceable character that they still.
Do you think he has?
Holy crap! He did Mufasa in The Lion Guard.
Yeah,
that's wild.
Do you know who else was in The Lion Guard?
David Oyelowo.
Yeah. I wonder if he's got any sort of part in the new Mufasa movie, even though it's about a young one.
Yeah,
I wonder.
He does not have any upcoming roles. The last time he was in anything, according to IMDb, was Kenobi in 2022. So I think he pretty much stopped acting after that.
Oh, I thought he was still doing stage stuff.
Oh, okay. On-screen acting. But anyways, it is said that he was, until very recently still doing Vader. So, oh man, this is a tough one. Whether AI voice would be a good use or not because it is so tough to replace. But AI voices, I think with a character like Vader, it could potentially work because of the mechanical nature. But his inflection, the way it was still very much a performance. I think if you could find someone to do a good iteration, I don't know. That's a tough one. That's kind of something you have to take a risk on. Either way.
Okay, I'm looking up the box office numbers.
We are off the rails already.
So first of all, mind your business.
There's only the two of us. How could this not be my business?
Odd that Lion King. They didn't put Lion King in this list. That's bull. How are you? Well, okay. So the Lion King 1994. You ready for this box office over the years? 968.5 million.
Dang,
just under $1 billion
in the mid 90s. That's almost as much as Jurassic Park.
And I don't know if it did that immediately. Or if it it's had some re-releases. Still. But it wasn't beat out until Frozen came out with 1.282 billion box office.
Yeah.
That's
I'm seeing that here. Yeah. That's because I'm looking at top box office of animated movies. From what I can tell, you have to go all the way down, to 57. Number 57 on this list, Toy Story 2 in 1999 is the only other one on this list that is from before the year 2000. So 56 through 1 are all movies that have been released since 2000, except for Lion King at number 12.
Damn right.
That's pretty crazy that because I thought Aladdin did. I guess Aladdin was more like 400 million, which is a lot, but
just something about them.
Pretty crazy.
Something about Hamlet lions, Cameron.
Yeah. So
we love a good tragedy.
Yeah,
Return.
It took 12 years, and is Jurassic Park that same year? No, Jurassic Park's 93. It's the year before. Pretty nuts. So if Jurassic Park had not come out, Lion King may have been the highest grossing movie of all time when it came out. Like,
man,
that means it would have been 2 or 3. That's crazy. Man, that's wild. And he's such an important part of that. Like, honestly, if I think about it, I think I could probably argue the Mufasa performance is better than the Vader performance. Like, they're both incredible and they're good for different reasons, but like
one of us.
Like, I love Lion King. Like, I grew up with that movie. I love it, and
I think
he's so important to that movie's success.
He's so threatening as Darth Vader, but he's such a good dad voice.
Yes.
So when The Lion King came out and they approached Hans Zimmer to do the music for it, he's like, I'm not doing no movie about no dumb lions. Like, actually, now I'm paraphrasing what he said, but he didn't want to do it at first.
Yeah.
He didn't want to do it at first until they gave him the story, and he read over it, and he went, I have to do this movie.
The script
because
said Kimba the White Lion, and it was crossed out,
No.
and it said Lion King above it.
No, Hamlet. That's yeah. But it wasn't until he looked at the story and realized Hans Zimmer lost his own father very young. Maybe not very, but when he was young. And so I think, if I remember correctly, like, reading the story brought up a lot of emotions for him that I don't think he dealt with. And he was like, I have to write it. And honestly, you can hear it in the music.
That's cool. I like that. I like that a lot.
It's a perfect score. My eyes are literally watering talking about it because I'm such a big old baby about this movie.
I'm just thinking about...
Rest in peace, my mom sitting next to me at the concert in a few weeks.
In talking about James Earl Jones as Mufasa, it just really highlights how the heck does that voice birth a son whose voice is Matthew Broderick. That's quite the disconnect, and whose young son is
because he wasn't raised by Mufasa.
Little Simba. Wait, really? Oh, well, okay, yeah, raised as in like once he died, but like as a little boy he was, and the little boy is one of the kids from Home Improvement, right?
Wild.
So Like if these were like real people, if you had James Earl Jones like, this is my son, and it's Matthew Broderick, my biological son. Anyways, news, exciting news. I am very excited about. Against all, mostly excited because we'll talk about it on the podcast. It's podcast content. Against all better judgment, we have finally some news about Jurassic World 4.
Yes.
AKA Jurassic Park 7. I hate every Jurassic Park sequel. Dislike. Like, I don't hate Jurassic World Park 3. I think it's okay. It's been a long time since I've seen it.
Alan Grant just carries that film.
Uh-huh.
I still remember being personally affronted as a child when him and Ellie didn't end up together.
Fair.
However, I do understand why they did that, because when you read the book, he's 40 and she's his 25-year-old graduate assistant.
Fair.
And reading that made me go, ooh, I don't.
Yeah. And I'm sure as we get closer to this movie next year, we will talk a lot more about our opinions of Jurassic Park. So I don't want to.
We're gonna watch all the Jurassic Park movies.
We might, or at least we could do one episode. We'll have to talk about it because that's a lot of movies. That's if you include the new one. The 6 originals. That's 3 months of our podcast. It's quite a bit to do. 6 movies, 2 episodes a month.
Yeah, we did 4. We did 4 movies leading up to Godzilla X Kong.
Yeah, but that was fun. See, that's the thing is I hate.
We did. We watched all 5 of the Bayverse movies, and you think that's more fun?
We needed something to do for the whole summer, and we were also doing one episode a week.
Fun.
Man, see. This just. It's gonna get real repetitive. Regardless, we can talk about it at some point.
Dinosaurs.
There's no reason to think a new Jurassic Park will be good, except for the fact that it is directed by our boy Gareth Edwards, who did Rogue One and Godzilla 2014. Man.
So maybe it'll be a bit of a darker movie.
I would. That's the thing that people don't realize about the Jurassic Park movies is they are fundamentally. Now they are a mix of genres because they're based on a Spielberg movie.
Would you like me to read the actual Nedry death scene from the book on pod?
That movie is low-key a horror film.
It is. It's so scary.
It's got wonder and it's got a John Williams score, but the
Cameron,
scary parts are hella scary.
If we watch the first 2 movies, you're gonna get to deal with me going, and in the book.
And
so
I would like they've. I don't think any Jurassic Park movie has ever made really any effort to capture what Jurassic Park is. They're just, to me, generic dinosaur films. Title is Jurassic World Rebirth. It's coming out July 2nd, 2025. So next summer. And
right before Independence Day.
It will take place 5 years after the previous film. And
are we getting a new character cast?
Yes.
Thank God.
Yes. Also, it is. So this is. Man, there's a lot of weird, surprising crossovers between this movie and other things that we cover on this podcast. Main character, Scarlett Johansson.
Alita.
Very strange choice, but she is in Transformers 1.
Have you seen the Fortnite web? How everything you love connects back to Fortnite.
No, I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah. I do.
I'm not huge on Scarlett Johansson in blockbusters, but hopefully they give her, if she's given an interesting character, which is not exactly Gareth Edwards' strong suit. The screenplay is, as of right now, is written by the original screenwriter of Jurassic Park, David Koepp. So if we can get some solid writing, I think he can give her something. That's to be determined. One I am really excited about, the co-star is Mahershala Ali, who is a 2-time Oscar winner for Green Book and Moonlight, but he's also the voice of Uncle Aaron in the Spider-Verse movies. And he was very, very good in things like the Netflix Luke Cage show and House of Cards. He's also in the Hunger Games movies. that's kind of neutral for me. He is supposed to be being Blade for Marvel, but it's not come out. Anyways, great actor, great performance, a great on-screen presence. Another surprising actor to cross over something that subject to this podcast, Rupert Friend, who is the live action. I'm gonna totally blank. Oh, dang it! I had it. He is the Grand Inquisitor in Kenobi.
Hello.
I was trying to see if there's anything else. He's one of those actors I kind of know his face, but don't really know him particularly well. He's also in like Asteroid City, which I like a lot.
I still haven't watched that.
Don't really recognize anyone else, which is probably the best thing. I think that's what's so amazing about the original Jurassic Park movie is they cast for the character, and you kind of inadvertently get some great star power like Sam Jackson before he really launched off, and Wayne Knight as Nedry. Like, they just cast it really well without being too focused on star power, and it makes the characters really feel alive. And also, they all have very distinct personalities, and there's so many great different character dynamics. That's something that's totally lacking from any following Jurassic Park movie.
Except for Dotson. His actor did not age well. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, and I'd rather probably not.
He got arrested for doing not good things with someone of a certain age.
Other plot elements. So in the new movie, only a limited number of dinosaurs remain and live in specialized biosphere, and 3 of these creatures hold the key to a potentially life-saving drug. Covert operative expert Zora Bennett, Scarlett Johansson, attempts to secure the genetic material from the dinosaurs, but ends up stranded with a civilian family on an island that holds a secret being kept from humanity for decades.
Is it more dinosaurs? If it's an island, I'm going to put my prediction. If it's an island, relatively stranded, my guess is there are naturally surviving dinosaurs.
Interesting.
You're welcome. I spoiled the movie for everyone.
You know, the thing that always feels like we're constantly on the edge of, we've seen concept art for it, we know they've considered it, is dinosaur-human hybrids.
Oh, no!
It is a 95% bad idea, but there is a small window of opportunity for it to be kind of interesting.
If you make it a horror film, it'll work.
Yes.
If you try to make it a feel-good movie about, we should feel bad for the dinosaur-human clones, look. That's not naturally right. Shouldn't be doing those things.
And so we only get really a character description for Johansson, who's a covert operative, who I guess we'll have to wait and see on that one. The main thing he makes...
Scarlett Johansson playing a covert operative? Wow.
The main thing that has me gripped is Gareth Edwards. I really hope they kind of give him some creative freedom on this. I hope that they don't mess with the screenplay too much. I think that David Koepp can be very much trusted to write an interesting screenplay.
You know what they do with interesting screenplays in Hollywood.
All that to say, hopefully we are so back after 20 years.
Parentheses, hopefully.
Yeah.
And parentheses, we are so back.
What other news you got?
What a fun reference to that animated dinosaurs movie. We're back.
Oh, jeez. That was not my intention.
Well, get good.
What's your other news?
Carl Weathers, who is, actor who passed away earlier this year in The Mandalorian, he posthumously received a Hollywood Walk of Fame star earlier this month. So that was cool. Good, he passed away in February. Been in a lot of stuff, but most famously well known as, I can't remember his name. I always remember Carl Weathers. The Magistrate in Mandalorian.
Oh, the character's name.
Yes.
So I thought we are Grief Karga.
Yeah. Oh.
I can't believe I pulled that out. Yeah. Nice. What else you got?
Ahsoka won an Emmy for Best Fantasy / Sci-Fi Costumes, and also Shauna Tripsick, who passed away last year. We kind of talked a little bit about her. She was the costume designer for Ahsoka. Had been posthumously also awarded a Creative Arts Emmy for her work on Ahsoka. So.
Oh, yeah. I saw that. I assumed that was an old post because I would have thought that would have been...
No, is this year?
Sometime much longer ago. That's cool.
The other news I have is very intriguing, and we can't really do a whole lot about it. Sigourney Weaver confirmed she's going to appear in The Mandalorian and Grogu.
That's bizarre. Okay.
I'm excited.
I mean, I love Sigourney Weaver. Alien.
Maybe they couldn't get that comedian for Pelimoto, so they replaced her with Sigourney Weaver.
The curly hair from the 80s. Yeah, all about it.
I love Sigourney Weaver.
She's great. I mean, we both love the Alien, or at least the original Alien movie. Totally blanking. I mean, she's famous for Ghostbusters.
I need to go see Romulus.
I'm trying to remember what else she's famous for, and I'm totally blanking.
She's in multiple Alien movies. She's in the franchise. The franchise is about her.
Pretty much. And
Sigourney Weaver.
Avatar movies.
And her cat. Me and Athena could never survive that situation. You know why? Because she doesn't have a lick of survival instinct. She's too loud. Mm-hmm. She'd get got so fast.
Do you have any other news?
Yes. Studio Trigger, which is an animation studio, is coming out with a new Transformers anime project. So along with words are hard. So they're best known for I have not seen any of the ones things, but like Cyberpunk Edge Runners, Promare, and Delicious in Dungeon. I don't know what that means. I think it's a Dungeons and Dragons related.
Okay.
Says it's working on something for the popular franchise. So they did a short teaser. And so, but yeah, we don't really know it if it's like a celebration video or maybe something like for an unannounced game, like an intro. We don't know, but that's kind of interesting.
I guess we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully it's better than the Netflix. Because it's not really anime. They kind of feel anime inspired. Netflix.
It's not going to take much to get better than that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's all the news.
Unfortunately, sometimes Star Wars projects are like S tier and then F. Hey, speaking of S tier and F tier, we need to do some of those for memes.
Well, we'll have
for funnies.
We've
for
got
topics.
all of October and November and most of December to fill.
We're gonna do an S tier every single episode of different franchises. We should do the Star Wars show.
Oops, Rachel only.
I want to do the Star Wars episodes or the Star Wars shows. I want us to rank them individually and compare.
Sounds good.
Sounds good, Cameron. Purposely does not write down.
So, Bumblebee, 2018. Basic plot. You seen Iron Giant? You seen E.T.? That's the plot synopsis, pretty much.
Have you seen the first Transformers movie? The first Bayverse?
It's got similarities. It is kind of a prequel to the Bayverse films. It has references to it. It definitely is in the same Bumblebee. But in production, they decided to kind of start to steer away from being an actual Bayverse film. And they ultimately kind of tried to make it its own thing, especially with the designs of the various Transformers. It opens up on Cybertron, by far the best scene of the movie.
And it was added later.
Yes. So if you just want to watch the opening scene of this, and then they kind of go back to it later in the movie, that's just kind of the only thing that's really, to me, worth watching, unless we can talk about the other element of this film that I like. But that opening action sequence on Cybertron is great. Bumblebee is sent off to Earth to find refuge for the flailing Autobots. He fights some Decepticons on Earth. He transforms into his classic VW bug form and loses his memory. Is found by a young girl named Charlie, who's dealing with the loss of her father. They become friends. They go through some shenanigans. The Decepticons are masquerading as the heroes who are hunting down a escaped terrorist, or I don't remember what they refer to Bumblebee as.
Something like rebel or something.
And so they convince. That is what they keep calling them, rebels. Yeah.
They convince the United States government that they're the good guys. John Cena is the smartest person in this film.
Which is not a sentence you say very frequently.
No, because he literally goes, guys, they're the Decepticons. Does that sound trustworthy? He's got a point.
And so eventually the Decepticons are able to hunt down Bumblebee. They fight. They lose. And Bumblebee reunites with the Autobots, and the young girl Charlie has learned a lesson. Young girl. She's a teenager. She's like 18.
Yeah, she's 18.
So, young-ish. That's pretty much the movie. It's very simple.
You gotta give props to this movie for not making Charlie an object, though.
Sure. No, yeah, she's very much, because especially with how beautiful this actress is. Like in other things, she is like, she's I believe, okay, I kind of sometimes get her mixed up with Brie Larson. I think so I'm totally blanking on this actress's name. She is Haley Steinfeld. She's also a pop star. So there is an element of, like, you could say glamour, of showmanship, or whatever to her celebrity persona, but they made her very much just kind of a teenager. Like, that's kind of the point of the character. Before we get to, at least we can talk about main points in a minute. I just want to kind of get through some just cursory thoughts. First thing I have written down is this a horse girl movie? It is about a girl who's really into cars, who finds a car that she becomes great friends with, but it has to end up letting go at the end. I feel like I've actually never seen a horse girl movie. Have you ever seen horse girl movies?
I have seen some very popular horse movies.
Would you say that this falls under a lot of those elements if you replace horse with car?
It's kind of like the Spirit film, except there's a whole lot less manifest destiny in this film, I would say so.
I mean, the American government is trying to manifest destiny, some of that alien technology.
You're right.
Our technology.
Well, the funny thing, so this is in the 80s, obviously, if you didn't know. Because John Cena, I don't remember his name. His name is John Cena. Like, that's who he is. He has no name other than his actual name, no matter who he plays. Is very suspicious of the Decepticons, but the way they weasel into the American government is like, well, or someone in support says, well, if we don't help them, they're just going to go to the Russians, and that's like the worst thing you could have said post
The room
War.
falls silent.
Yeah. So.
And
one thing I wanted to talk about,
go for it,
and I might be skipping ahead, was there are times where you can tell that this movie was definitely made as a prequel and then changed, and it's never more apparent. It's mostly apparent in the fact that there is a young, dark-haired, curly-headed man with the last name Simmons. It's very obvious that he's supposed to be a young Agent Simmons, and he's in maybe 2 scenes.
Yeah.
And then I'm guessing what they did was they went, it's no longer a prequel, so you don't canonically exist anymore. And
yeah, okay. There are multiple times you can see S7 logos. So it's very clearly, at least visually, this is supposed to be Sector 7, the same government agency from the Bayfront. Do they ever say Sector 7?
I think they do.
Okay. I did not recall them actually saying
maybe in this universe, Sector 7 turns into G.I. Joe.
See, that was what people went in thinking.
It was going to be it.
Dang, I'm already forgetting his name. The actor we were just talking about.
John Cena?
John Cena, we thought he was going to be a G.I. Joe.
Very aggressively G.I. Joe.
And if they had, I mean, I really think that Paramount is probably kicking themselves for not doing that. Like, that would have, like, the whole
they
issue.
Just should have slapped, like, sticky notes that said G.I. Joe.
But, like, even retroactively, they still could have done it. If, instead of having the very blank nothing after credits scene that they have in Rise of the Beast, if you had John Cena be the one to show up, the whole problem is solved. At least it's like some continuity there element happening.
I actually really enjoyed his performance in this film. It was kind of
fun enough.
That's the thing. It was fun. I'm not saying it was stellar by any means, but I think it was better than trying to watch like a performance of The Rock. Like, you know, if they'd cast any other WWE.
Sure. Oh yeah. I mean, he's not. Oh, and I'm gonna totally blank on the actor's name from Guardians of the Galaxy. Dang. This is bad. He plays Drax the Destroyer.
He's also in Knives Out too.
Yes. He is played by. It's not coming up.
POV. You try to ask us a name of anyone.
Dave Bautista.
Dave Bautista.
Dave Bautista is definitely the best.
So we got Dave Bautista, Dwayne The Rock Johnson. They need to come with some other names.
And so I would say Dave Bautista is an actual actor. Like, he's actually very good, thinks about his roles, thinks about what he's doing. And
doesn't want to
Dwayne
be typecast
Johnson
into
is
strongman.
awful. And I would say John Cena falls in the middle. Anyway,
John Cena's just here to have a good time. That's kind of like the energy I got from this film.
Sure.
He's like, sure, I'll be in a Transformers movie.
Other note, this originated as being a prequel. And so that was always the idea. And especially when this movie came out, the 1980s were such an not important, but popular thing in American culture. I do not think it's used well in this film. Like, it doesn't really feel like it needs to be set in the 80s.
They just play music.
Yeah, exactly. The music.
And they're like, haha, the 80s.
It just... I mean, at this point, it was very played out, even when this movie came out, setting things in the 80s. It just... And that feels weird because that is where Transformers comes from, but the issue is Transformers itself never felt like it took place in the 80s. It always felt like it took place in kind of this, like, own world.
It had an oddly 2000s vibe to it, but without 2000s tech, but also had... And then the Transformers show up, and within 5 years, it's like 2040s tech.
Mm-hmm. So, I don't love that. The other element that I don't really love... So... It's very common screenwriting tactic to, like, give a character a special skill that seems irrelevant and then comes into play in the final act. In this one, it is the fact that she is a diver. Mm-hmm. And it's so... One, it's not interesting. Like, she's already interested in cars. That's her thing. And then you also throw diving in there. It feels like this...
For the 2-second payoff.
Yeah, at the end, she dives in and saves Bumblebee. And it is cool. I mean, that is an interesting thing that she saves him at the end.
Never dive from 40 feet into dark water that had just come in from a shipping bay.
Yep.
Because chances are, with my luck, I would have dove and 2 inches under the water, snapped my neck. Because something was there.
It just feels so silly that she ends up needing to dive. Like, she had...
Also, I'm pretty sure, wasn't he already in the process of waking up when she dove to save him?
Yeah, I think he was just like... Well, that's a good question. Actually, I can't even remember how she actually helped him.
She just, like... She didn't. She just, like, got his attention, and he was like, oh, yeah, she probably not.
Yeah, so not even that important. It's just kind of like a lot of the things in this movie, they're just kind of... okay. Like, it's not the worst. Like, it is the idea that this character has lost a lot of confidence and connection to who she was after her dad died, and then she is able to, like, reincorporate into her life, but...
Also, I don't condone violence, but if my dad and a high school bully popular girl made a joke, said, oh, why don't you go ask your dad? I actually would have swung. Charlie's better than me. I would have swung on sight at that chick.
Fair.
I've been like, why don't you go ask him? And fight her.
Things I do like about this movie, though, some small details. The Decepticons are triple changers, which is pretty fun.
Yeah. Look at you. I'm so proud of you, Cameron.
Thanks. They mostly change between planes and, like, a normal, like, road vehicle.
I'm so proud. Wow.
You know what, though? I just thought about, though, the thing I'm always complaining about that this movie actually does well, at least for the Autobots, robots in disguise. He's actually and when he transforms into a car, he's actually like disguises himself. So good element.
Does this movie pass the Bechdel test?
Oh man, they're talking about men a lot.
I know, either her dad or Bumblebee, and I think he does count.
I think it is possible that there is a conversation between her and her mom where they're just talking about their relationship.
Maybe they do. Well, no, they talk about the dog who's also male and her brother.
So
and her step.
You'd have to, there is the possibility, but I don't specifically know. You'd have to really pay attention to those conversations with her and her mom.
Which I didn't do.
Want to say what we learned about the mom?
They
actress?
do. Wait, I think it does pass the Bechdel test.
Oh.
Because you have Charlie and the female Decepticon beefing at the end.
Nice.
I think it counts. So the let me pull up the cast so I can remember her name.
Ridiculous.
So one thing we like to do is, if you don't know, we kind of tend to visit IMDb. In case you weren't aware, that's just something we like to do. So we were like, hey, I don't know, something about her mom, who's played by Sally Watson, just really like, I don't know, something stuck out to me. It's like, why do I know her? She's probably done something else. So I decided to Google her. So she's been in a lot. The third highest thing that she is in is she played Bobby Hill in King of the Hill.
You see, you didn't set up the way you set up for me. You asked me, who do you think she plays in King of the Hill?
Yes.
And I was like, I don't know. I have no idea. Bobby,
yeah.
I would have never guessed Bobby Hill.
Who is the young
Crazy.
10-year-old son, which is also very common for young boys to be voiced
Yeah, it's
by
still
women.
just
But it was still,
such a shocker.
it's, so here's the top three. Better Things, Babes, I don't know who these are. These are kind of more recent things. And then King of the Hill. And I was like, well, that's weird. Maybe she's Peggy. I've never been so wrong before. Bobby was never on the list for me.
Well, now it's time to look up and see if she was in Transformers ever. Or like another, like a
So
voice.
she was actually in Bumblebee 2018.
Yeah.
I could not find anything else outside of like Grease 2, a couple Tinkerbell movies for animation.
Okay, yeah, she's never. Oh, she did a few voices in one episode of Godzilla the series back in 1999.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
And my big note for this movie of things that I like, I have like a few things that fall under this one umbrella, is I do think, I remember I've seen this movie 3 times. Once for watching this, once in theaters. I was kind of underwhelmed both of those times. But the second time, I had not seen it in many years. You and we watched Transformers 2, 3, 4, and 5.
And then
Bumblebee in a short time.
In like 4 weeks.
Like we watched like 2 and 3 back to back, 4 and 5 back to back, and then a few weeks later we watched Bumblebee. And after watching it in so close proximity to the Autobot ones, I realized just how...
To the Autobot ones?
Yeah, how well designed Bumblebee is. There's so much care given to make him feel and behave, interact with the world in a real way.
And sorry, not to interrupt you.
Oh, he's got like even just like the texturing on him. And yet, to be fair, but also, one can say, yeah, this is coming out later. It has more realistic animation, but this is only a year after Transformers 5.
And you look at Transformers, the first one, the animation looked great. Yeah. The thing that the Michael Bay movies really got carried away with is just the intricacy and the frame rate. The frame rate is obnoxious.
Frame rate or aspect ratio?
No, I'm actually talking about the amount of frames. And so in one of my animation classes, we actually use this as a terrible example. The transforming scenes they just have way too many pixels for the amount of frames. That they're so high def that it's so disorienting.
Okay. Interesting.
So it's like it's needless flair, if you ask me. Because granted, maybe put a little bit more effort into it than the original cartoon.
Sure.
But each piece in in the Bumblebee 2018 movie, it feels like each piece has a place of his body. Like each piece goes to a very
geographically, like, logistically makes sense.
anatomically.
Yeah, that's good.
Versus like in the Bay movies, they just
Snap together. Yeah.
they just dissolve and then
Yeah,
they're a truck. And it always cuts away too.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
They're like, we don't know how to figure out how to make this shape go actually into this shape, so we're just gonna put a cut of Sam and Michaela looking in awe, and then we'll switch back to the car commercial.
Yeah, and that's probably the other issue is that in all 5 of the Michael Bay movies, he is a brand new Camaro, and he's a walking advertisement. Whereas this, he's an old Volkswagen Bug. He doesn't need to transform into a clean, crisp, perfect car every time. He's transforming into a junker, which is pretty great.
We do not use that word here.
Great.
That is a Transformers 4 reference.
So from that that emphasis on making him feel, I mean, that's kind of the benefit of having a Transformers movie that is about one Transformers. They can put a lot of emphasis on just him. There's a great... Okay, I'll talk about this one moment. It's probably the best moment in the movie outside of the action that's on Cybertron. They actually do have occasions where the main character, Charlie, is interacting with practical pieces of him. She actually has a thing to touch rather than just presumably a big blue box or floating air. And that was always cool. And similarly, I guess this is a little bit farther out, but there's... Yes, Michael Bay is famous for his explosions, but there was never a time, because there was so much other CGI, explosions in a Michael Bay movie rarely feel like they exist. That's because they often don't make any sense. Things are just exploding for no reason. But I specifically clocked it in when the Decepticons arrive to Earth. It's night, and they crash into a truck, and there's an explosion, and you can just feel that the environment is being lit by real fire. And I think that's a really nice attention to the way light is in, like real light is in it, because that's the biggest difficulty probably, other than making things move realistically with CGI, is making it interact with light, because light is so complicated. And that's probably what we have not talked about is who directed this movie. And it is a younger man named Travis Knight, who is 100% a... nepotism baby, not within the industry of film, but his father owns Nike, so he was always going to have enough money. You
know what? If nepo babies want to make decent Transformers movies, I'll let them.
But he came up through stop motion with Leica and directed Kubo and the Two Strings. So he comes from stop motion. So he's bringing. So
he knows the practicality of
of like making things
space
work, making things move, interact, have a griminess to them, because that's what's so great. Leica movies often want to be dirty and deal with like literal dirt. What is the face you're giving
your
me?
Birthday gift?
Oh,
let's do it before me a minute.
Okay,
I gotta go get the bag first.
Well, so I thought that maybe you were playing a trick on me, and I thought maybe it was going to be this.
Oh no!
So I was meaning to say, on Rachel's microphone is a black leather like keychain of Kylo Ren's face, and our microphones and mic stands are black. So it's been when did you even put that on there?
Like 20 minutes ago.
I did not notice until it was like 5 minutes ago. Thank you. Very kind of you. I meant to give you your birthday gift last month on the podcast, and I forgot. I got her a Last Jedi coloring book.
I know. I'm no slacker though.
And
but you don't get it yet.
So I think we so much talk about Michael Bay and his influence on Transformers. I think it's just as fair to give Travis Knight this was his first live action film. I think there's a lot of things he clearly didn't know how to do as a director, but there are a lot of things he clearly did know how to do. And I think in focusing on Bumblebee as a character, in making him feel like he had a personality. Now, obviously, they are heavily borrowing from his characterization in the Bay films, but in the end,
it doesn't even matter.
Linkin Park, that's the other series. there's a moment where when Charlie first meets Bumblebee, he's very reluctant, and she puts out her hands, and he like pushes his face into her hands and like closes his eyes. Michael Bay never managed that level of like personality and emotion.
Nope.
And while it's a very small moment and the rest of the movie never manages to have that again, I want to give credit to that.
For those of you not in the room, which is everyone except Cameron, I pointed to Athena because she does that a lot. It's very pet thing.
I have one last point. Do you have any other points you want to hit?
I don't really have too many points.
I have a last point, which is just why this movie doesn't work on a bigger scale is it's a very common issue now. I feel like in the 2010s, like I feel like in the 90s, especially the 2000s, there was a lot of because of CGI, we had a lot of new franchises. You know, superheroes, Transformers, like things that were being accomplished for the first time. And at some point they failed, and in the 2010s, they're all being rebooted. And the issue with that is oftentimes the newer one oftentimes will go back to the source material, try to be more like the original thing, rather than the 2000s ones that were oftentimes trying to be their own thing in a bad way. The issue with these 2010s, 2020s reboots is, for me, as someone who grew up watching the first ones, even if I didn't like them, I've seen it so many times. So while Bumblebee probably is the best Transformers film, the issue is it's the sixth one in 11 years.
And I think just after the Bay fatigue with 4 and 5, it's like it was fresh, but not at a good time fresh. Pulled out of the freezer at the wrong time to thaw.
Yeah, pretty much what happened was they made the original Transformers trilogy, and they weren't really sure what they kind of like just got to that point, and they were like, okay, what are we going to do next? And they decided,
what if we make the government turn against them again?
Every time Michael Bay said he wasn't going to come back. And after the third one, after all three made over $1 billion worldwide, it's really when Chinese box office was really exploding. These movies were doing amazing in China. They decided to just double down. Transformers 4, just double down on everything other than Shia LaBeouf.
And it's in Shanghai.
And double down on Michael Bay, double down on the designs.
They did get a touch of the Tooch, though.
That is the one thing I will give that movie credit for, is it's a great use of Tucci. And that movie made $1 billion. They're like, great, just keep the ball rolling. And at that point is when stuff like Marvel and Star Wars is exploding, more expanded franchises. They're like, great, we can do that with Transformers. So they start just planning out this huge universe, a big trilogy of the main ones, spin-offs, and then kind of the first step into that, 5 falls so flat. And they're like, oh crap, we were so overestimated the staying power of this franchise. And Bumblebee was already pretty much done on its way to... So that is why it exists, but they had to pivot away from the Michael Bay stuff, weirdly enough.
And that's why I feel like I saw so much more positive things about Rise of the Beasts, because we had a nice 5-year gap without a Transformers film in theaters.
True.
I think there was, and maybe... I don't say it's the best, but for the most part, I saw people going, it was fun to go see a Transformers movie in theaters again.
Yeah.
That was kind of the vibe I was getting.
But here's the other issue, and I think this is true probably for both Bumblebee and Rise of the Beast, is with these rebooted versions of these pre-existing franchises that maybe didn't do so well initially, while you have both the fatigue thing, but that's like a relative example. Like that's for us because we've seen them. If you were to just show someone just Bumblebee, they've never seen a Transformers film before, they would probably think, oh, that's actually pretty neat. I've never seen that before. But the thing that I think is inherent to these movies that you can't escape is that they are trying really hard to not be the thing that failed. And while I really don't like those Bayverse films, what I will say is they do have a very specific personality. And I would say Bumblebee and Rise of the Beast really don't.
Yeah.
They're kind of just movies, which I think is very unfortunate. Because go back to Where Travis Knight came from, Leica films they have too much personality. Probably they're like kind of a little too quirky. Probably I like them a lot, but they maybe try a little too hard sometimes.
The Leica films get a little quirky at night.
And I think that no matter, even if I wait 25 years to watch a Transformers film and I watch Bumblebee again, I would probably still be underwhelmed with it just because it doesn't have a take, which is really unfortunate. But like I really just watch it and I'm like, I'd rather be watching Iron Giant because Iron Giant does have things to say, is about stuff.
Giant mate.
And that will transition. I have one last question to ask before we go. I'm going to give Rachel a chance to do more. I'm going to regret this, more Transformers lore. I have a question about that. But that will transition. That is why I thinking what I just said about this movie and not having a personality. That's why I wanted us to pitch a Transformers film, because I want to not just sit here and criticize. I want us to like maybe put out into the universe examples. Like if we just sit here and think for not that long, we can come up, I think, with interesting ideas. But my question is, in this movie, the Decepticons refer to the Autobots as rebels, which is an interesting element of I've never considered.
Our Rebels and Robots podcast.
Are in Transformers various franchise lore universes, have they ever been rebels before?
So I'm going to be honest. The first time I saw this movie, my immediate assumption when Shatter said that, yes, she's voiced by Angela Bassett, by the way.
Oh yeah. Who do you know for primarily?
Angela Bassett is in the 911 series, which I don't watch, but she is also in Black Panther. She's the Queen of Wakanda.
Queen, yeah.
She's in a ton of stuff. Angela Bassett's like 50-something years old, and movie list is a million years long.
Yeah, she did a voice in Pixar's Soul.
I've not seen that.
She's really good at Mission Impossible Fallout. She's do you know Amanda Waller, the DC Comics character?
Nope.
She's the one who creates the Suicide Squad. But she plays that character in the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern movie. And she's in Meet the Robinsons. That's fun.
Queen.
A lot of more voices than I realized. Anyways, she actually is quite good as the villain. Not super memorable villains, but she gets the job done.
So to get back to your question, I genuinely think when the Decepticons first called Bumblebee a rebel, that they're just lying. They were very obviously speaking to a military force, and they're not They're not your average. They're not the smartest, but you can see they're not your average dumb villains.
Yeah.
Instead of where other Decepticon movies might just immediately kill this military force, they went, let's get some help. So I first think that it was just a lie. They're like,
that's fair.
That's why we're here.
That's very
He's a
possible.
Rebel.
They are
try to
called
get their trust.
Decepticons.
Yes. Now, couple of different. I don't know. They've been called rebels before, but I don't think out of a like rebelling force.
I see.
Particularly aside from, depending on which continuity, if there were Quintessons. Yeah. Because the Quintessons ruled over the Cybertronians, and the Cybertronians were slaves. So if this young faction Autobots rebelled, then they would be obviously rebels. In most continuities, it typically gets to a point in the war where the Decepticons are such an overwhelming force that they are the majority, and the Autobots have to leave Cybertron because they don't stand a chance on that planet. So if you think about it logically, if you beat if you as a majority are winning a war and you've whittled down your enemies to just a small groups, technically they're not considered a military. They're considered rebels at that point.
I see. Because
the rest have either been destroyed or they've assimilated. All in all, I think they were just lying.
Yeah, I had never really that strongly considered the nature of the war on Cybertron, which is going to lead me. That's actually the moment thinking about all this stuff is that I'm the most excited for Transformers 1. Is I'm like, what is the exact nature of the war happening, I had always just automatically assumed that the Decepticons were the uprising force, that the good people were the ones who were in power, and the Decepticons were trying to take power, as opposed to the Decepticons being in power and the Autobots are rebelling against that dictatorship.
Well, and in some continuities, you have, and maybe we'll see this in Transformers 1, Optimus and Megatron having the same goals, but eventually they split on how. And so eventually having the same initial uprising, but, Megatron's like, I'm just going to kill everyone.
Yeah.
And Optimus like, don't know how I feel about that. So, good question, though, but that's my answer.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
That's my thoughts. That's my 2 cents.
All right, pitch time. Do you want to go first or do you want to go second?
Sure, because I don't think mine is going to be all that interesting, because genuinely what I have been wanting is a Transformers movie on Cybertron.
Yes.
No humans. And I want to see the beginning of the war.
Yeah.
Am I describing Transformers 1? Potentially. And I'm not trying to have a cop-out answer.
Sure.
But genuinely, that is what I have wanted for years. I'm sick of humans. They just... sorry, I just watched Athena drop a piece of kibble and frantically try to find it. It's very funny. Unfortunately, as we have seen in Transformers movies, sometimes humans just absolutely drag the whole movie. When you go see a Transformers film, don't you want to see the robots? We talked about in Bumblebee, that first 5-minute battle on Cybertron is the best part of the film. It looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
And so, but I don't really want just a movie that like shows up in the middle of the war and then goes to the Exodus.
Sure.
I almost want a start from like the Golden Age. And the downfall of that Golden Age into the start of the rebellion and the war. It may not even get to the full-fledged war. I want a political movie. I want to see a whole movie set on Cybertron where they showcase the like corrupt government. And then the downfall of that and the unrest to like basically an origin story of Megatron and Optimus Prime, which we seem to be getting, but building up into that war. But I would love to have an emphasis on the flawed system. There's a couple different ways that could look depending on the continuity. Some continuities have a caste system. And actually, seeing this in Transformers, one, different caste minors. ERs.
No, you want to see baby Autobots.
If they're cute, hey, they'd sell toys.
True. That actually kind of relates to something in my head.
It's like, you know how like in the early 2000s, they made a bunch of shows of like Scooby-Doo had one.
Oh yeah, I mean Baby Muppets is the original
Baby Muppets,
famous
Baby
one.
Looney Tunes. That'd be hysterical. I don't want that necessarily. But something to show the downfall of that. And like I said, there's caste systems as we're seeing in Transformers 1, minors. Some Transformers, depending on what they transformed into, were treated as second-class citizens, even without the quintessence. Yeah. And then there is that also potential plot point of if you have a quintessence movie. I don't really care for the quintessence. I think they're kind of weird. But I would like to see that. I would like to see the corruptness of Cybertron downfall into a rebellion and then show the split of the war, which we might be getting from Transformers 1.
Yeah.
So...
Well, I think you're setting up a really interesting thing that we'll be able to talk about once we see Transformers 1 is...
I want the politics.
What did it do that you liked and what is missing? I assume that there'll be a little bit of both.
Give me an Andor, but with Transformers.
Sure. Would you have preferred a movie more in the style of what we saw in Bumblebee?
Animated.
But the animation itself. Because there's a lot, and this kind of will lead into something that I'm going to get into my pitches. There's so many different ways to approach Transformers. Obviously, it originated in 2D animation.
I think they should stay away from the Bayverse. style just because of how we see how complicated those character models are.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with it.
Well, I'd say
Well,
there frequently
okay.
is.
Yes, there is.
They're ugly.
That against an all metal background would be a nightmare to watch.
Oh yeah, the Cybertron scenes in the Bayverse films were not particularly
Also, there's
interesting.
randomly grass on the planet too, but I'm not going to get into that soapbox because I have too much beef with the last two films to get into it at this point in my lifetime. I'm just going to give myself more gray hairs. Big fan of Transformers Prime. I don't know if it would work for a movie. I mean, I think it would. It had some of its own G1-esque animation errors because it was 3D, so sometimes things didn't render in. I'll see if I can find a compilation because some of them were kind of funny. The Transformers 1 style is growing on me. I think I want to.
Okay.
I want to see the movie before I make my final judgment. But I actually did really enjoy the intro of Bumblebee 2018 because I remember like once it starts, like and hearing a lot of people going, "This is what we've wanted. Why isn't the whole movie like this?" So I'm not a huge issue on the realism. I think what's going to happen. The tricky part is doing an all metal planet, all metal citizens, and making sure that they stick out from the background without just making the background all gray.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would say, I'm not thinking about it, that opening scene of Bumblebee is actually the only time you actually feel kind of like something that was in the 80s. Like the very neon colors of that opening scene are amazing.
Cybertron is just synthwave 80s.
That's the way to go. And I think it seems like that's kind of what they're going for with Transformers 1. I really hope that comes through.
And honestly, so one thing I'm actually quite interested in with Transformers 1 is just from the shots we've seen is there is other life on the planet, which I'm super hyped for that. And I think that should be incorporated more because one, it's cool. And two, it gives the planet more life genuinely. Just to be like, there's metal people here. One thing that would also be interesting to see is that in other continuities, there are other planets of Cybertronians because Cybertronians were also a colonizing force. But they had other like moons that they had settled on. Be kind of interesting to see some of those. I always wondered what happened to them during the wars that they existed, where they just like haven't heard from the home planet in a couple million years. Letters are slow. Don't know. So a lot of things I'm talking about, I feel like are related to Transformers 1 because I really hope that this is going to kind of give those of us that really want an animated film on Cybertron a taste of what we want.
Yeah.
But like I said, I like the idea of making Cybertron a planet filled with life too, because granted, by the time we see it in the Bayverse, it's been dead for a hot while, very obviously. But it's just cool too, because on a metal planet, you have like unlimited capabilities. If you want to make metal deer, you can. But there's also animals in other continuities. There's cyber cats. They got little cats. They got dogs.
Yeah.
They got animals. And then you also have Transformers that turn into animals. So then that also kind of brings up some weird ethics questions of like in Mickey Mouse, how there's Pluto, who's a dog, but also Goofy, who's a dog. And one is very obviously a pet. And one is a citizen. So I'm not going to get into the ethics of that. But they can be brought up if the movie does it, if the movie wants to.
Yeah, I think what you're getting at is the huge issue with the live action films is they are too fixated on Earth. Like way too fixated. Any world building that we get, other than the quintessence, that very briefly in the fifth one, it is that Transformers things happening on Earth related to her Earth history, to the point
Get
of
out of my
Earth
yard.
being Unicron.
That's how I feel about. That's how I feel about.
But like Transformers, the show, the original show, the only one I know, very quickly incorporates Cybertron. They're going back and whereas early in the show,
it's their weekend home at this point.
Early on in the show, getting back to Cybertron is a huge problem. But at some point, it's every episode they're going back to Cybertron.
They got a space elevator.
In the movie, the original animated movie, they're going to all these different planets. There's so many different things. So I think what you're kind of getting at is the Transformers universe is got so much in it.
You're going to tell me Cybertron is how many millions of light years away and we keep showing up to the same planet?
Yeah.
Can't we go somewhere else for once?
Yeah. And
can we get a different road trip?
The movie's just stagnated of you don't really bring in anything new as far as very new about the Transformers, but you want the other creatures, you want history, you want politics, you want to actually develop the Transformers.
Yeah.
Which I think is brilliant.
And also, you can only try to bring Cybertron to Earth so many times, and the fact that they tried to do it twice.
2 movies in a row in the same series. Oh no,
3 and
5. Okay, yeah.
And the planet looked different each time, and then also Cybertron had grass in the second film. That's kind of weird. Even though I said I'm fine with a more natural planet, I still think it's odd that they're like, there's grass and soil here, and we're just not going to touch it.
Yep.
I guess someone was mowing the lawn all those years.
My thought in hearing you talk about all this different stuff makes me realize I think a phenomenal way to open that movie, and it's a sequence. It's a opening scene. It's an element that I think is really underutilized in films that need to establish a world. Is a 5 to 10 opening sequence that is just the evolution of the planet. Like if you just start off with very primitive Cybertron and just we see a montage of
caveman
of all the different creatures, how things were created,
primordial soup.
Because what a movie that was gonna do it and then they cut it out was the last Jurassic World movie. Mm-hmm. The original opening sequence was
had the Giganotosaurus and the Tyrannosaurus
the evolution of the dinosaurs and then them getting wiped out. Mm-hmm. I think the issue with that was it would have been the best scene in the movie, and then not an already terrible film, Jurassic World Dominion, would have felt even worse. I think that would be a very cool. I think that would bring audiences immediately into what kind of movie it is.
I think the other thing is I want a diverse cast of Transformers, and by diverse, I mean male and female.
Sure.
Because in every continuity, they'll introduce Elita 1, Moonracer, Chromia, except in about the comics, they get to live. They introduced Windblade in the 2010s, who is a new female Autobot, I think. But it's...
What if Optimus Prime was a girl? What if Bumblebee was
only if it's
girl?
Peter Cullen in falsetto, which can he do that?
What if Megatron was pronouns?
I'm not getting into that. But what I mean is I'm tired of the female characters essentially being used as cannon fodder. It happened in the Netflix trilogy.
Oh,
when Optimus...
Okay.
Did you see the third series?
I've never seen any of the Netflix animated ones.
Oh, you're so lucky.
Yeah, you told me they were bad, so why would I watch them?
You like to watch bad things.
So different kinds of bad things.
So there's the first season that's all on Cybertron. And when I say I want an animated series on Cybertron, I didn't... This, Cybertron is already decrepit. It was already, post-apocalypse war, in a way. And so at the end of the first season, Optimus and some of the Autobots left, and they left Elita 1 and, a small cast back on Cybertron, which is very similar to the G1 first series. And then the second season... They go through a time warp and show up in the universe where all the Maximals are, the animal Transformers, the Beast Wars, essentially. And at the end of the third series, they come back to Cybertron. It's been 100 years, and because Optimus threw the Allspark through a bridge, it basically created a nuclear winter and killed everyone left on the planet.
Okay, wow.
But so the big pivot, it was that his mistake killed Elita 1, and I was like, okay. It's just it's frustrating because Bay did it too. He killed the 3 motorcycle triplets because he didn't like RC. He didn't know what to do with them, and it's sorry, can't sexualize them, Michael Bay. Ooh, and so I did like how we got Shatter and Bumblebee, which was pretty cool. I liked her, but I would like for the female characters to stop being killed as plot motives for Optimus, but also just for the other characters to be the Decepticons killed my girlfriend. Let them live. So that's one of my complaints. And because apparently Transformers 1 is going to be a trilogy, I'm kind of worried that they'll do that. So.
I understand.
Anyways, big lady supporter here.
Cool. No, I think your concept really helps set up some context for our next episode, for what you're going in, what's in your mind. And I hope that you get everything you want.
I'd also like it to pass the Bechdel test.
That one might be a tough one.
All right, Cameron. Let me live.
So my pitch. So here's some context for me writing this pitch. It was midnight, technically this morning.
It was 1:30 when you
that's when I
texted
finished.
me.
That's when I was done. Around midnight, 12:30 this morning, my wife Allison was in bed. She had gone to sleep. I had stayed up doing dishes and realized I probably would not have time to do my pitch later, so I had to do it then. So I sat down and I ran through some ideas in my head, and then eventually I just came around to, okay, what do I personally love about Transformers? 1, crackhead energy. Something that I do think the Bayverse films kind of got, intentionally on accident, Bumblebee doesn't really have. Number 2, what I think is really interesting about Transformers as a whole is that every different medium has something to offer. The original 2D animation, later 3D animation, live action, the physical toys themselves, like every iteration of Transformers. I've seen various comic book versions. They always have something to offer, but no version ever feels perfect. Like, for me, Star Wars will always be a movie thing. I like other versions of Star Wars, but the movie is the perfect version of Star Wars. Transformers, to me, no version ever fully captures what I want to see.
You don't want to see this?
No, the human being raised inside of a Transformer. No, I hate that.
The term for the unfortunate, those of us unfortunate.
Things you could not get away with in live action. So, the story.
My favorite thing was when that happened, when that dropped. It's like that. Switchers. Everyone disliked that.
We start off with G1 style animation. We see the Transformers, both sides, Decepticon and Autobots, going about their usual day.
So they're already two separate factions at this point.
Yes, this is pretty much. This starts off like any other original G1 episode. It's in G1 style. It's 2D animated. You could even do 3:4 aspect ratio, just to really hammer home. This is just like any other episode of classic G1. But what we're seeing is as they go about, the Decepticons are all listening to Megatron drone on and on about his plan to wipe out the Autobots. The Autobots are doing their usual shenanigans.
Watching soap operas.
Yeah.
That's canon.
But we're seeing that there's very little life or excitement in any of the characters. Everyone's just going through the motions. They're just kind of bored. So then we go into the action. Megatron, as always, gathering energy or energon cubes, probably in a dam, as usual.
These poor hydro dam workers.
The Autobots to show up to stop them. There's not really much exciting about this. It's because kind of everyone doing their jobs. But at the peak of the battle, a character that I read about last night named Geaxis arrives. Are you familiar with Geaxis? This is what he looks like as a toy. He turns into some sort of like plane. He's like black, or he's yellow and white and green. He's a G2. Here is what he originally looks like in his original like comic book appearance. It's very, if you're familiar with Jack Kirby, was one of the earliest Marvel comic book. Not Jack Kirby. Jack Kirby, one of the earliest Marvel comic book
his
characters.
Name right as I looked him up.
Not characters, illustrators. I thought I had. Oh, here's another version of what he looks like. He's a very angry-looking guy. He's got big hands. He's always got a grimace on his face. I mean, there's an alternate version of him in different where he's like green or not green, orange.
Shows the image of orange.
This is probably the closest I would say I would imagine him looking like in a movie. Is he's got a big broad chest. The like cockpit of the jet that he transforms into is his chest. Nice like silver and gold, like a pale gold color aesthetic with a little bit of green and a red head. And and he's very menacing. His name is Jhiaxus, I think is how it's right. Jhiaxus. So here's from some excerpts from his Transformers wiki. Jhiaxus was born through the long-forgotten budding means of reproduction. So at some point in this continuity, in G2 continuity, Transformers at some point were like birthed through like buds, I guess. I didn't really read into it. But he's born through a classic means. So he sees himself as kind of a pure Transformer because he was born through this original method. Quote from about him. At first, a cruel and petty tyrant ruled by his irrational desires, Jhiaxus learned slowly to bury this part of himself beneath layers of icy control. Tired of the Autobot-Decepticon conflict, Jhiaxus left with his budded brethren into space, determined to begin a new Cybertronian empire free of the war waged by those he deemed evolutionary throwbacks. He then began to wipe out what he considered to be inferior life and terraform their conquered worlds. So pretty much, he is a genetic purist. He sees himself as the original Transformer, and he's out to take out anything that he does not deem as the original. So he shows up on Earth in the middle of the Autobot-Decepticon battle. He manages to incapacitate everyone, and he steals all the Energon and escapes. He then he sends out his forces all across the Earth to various access points across the Earth, different towers, because Earth is Unicron. And Unicron, something I'm inventing for this, has a long dormant forgotten capability. He can alter reality. And so these different access points, they're going to load the Energon in to activate this capability. And what Jhiaxus' plan is, he wants to alter reality to his will, to wipe out all of the Transformers that he does not like. Anything he doesn't like, he's going to wipe out. Upon learning of this plan, the Autobots immediately pursue Jhiaxus. But Megatron, in learning about it, also commands the Decepticons to join forces with the Autobots because Megatron sees this reality as perfect since it created him, and he doesn't want anything to alter that. So the Decepticons and Autobots are all now teaming up to stop Jhiaxus. So they all go off in pairs, like different groups together, pairings of Autobots and Decepticons to different parts of the Earth. At each location, as the Jhiaxus' forces load the Energon into the reality-altering towers, reality warps around it. And at these different locations, which can be, classic Transformers always going to, very immediately iconic locations like New York, France, the Middle East, Japan,
or whatever
Africa.
their European map said.
Yeah, exactly. Each tower alters reality around it in a different way, transforming the reality into different styles. One tower is bad 3D animation like Transformers Beast Wars. One is stop motion with that looks like toys. Another one
it's okay,
is
you can
anime.
say Robot Chicken.
Yeah, One is hyper realism like live action, like the Bayverse films. Another one is like a comic book. So kind of like 2D animation, but maybe like panels of a comic book, chibi style. Which is like anime, but like cute little guys. And
What do you mean? They're already cute little guys.
live action kaiju style suits is my most one I would love to see. And at each location, you have the different combinations of Decepticons and Autobots. The Decepticons immediately despise they've been changed. They can't stand it. They hate the change. And the Autobots are probably off-put at first, but eventually, the different crews manage to win victory in their situations, whether they need to try to stop Jhiaxus' crew or save some civilians or save themselves. They are able to win because of something about the way they've changed. In the bad 3D animation, they can clip through walls because it's bad 3D. In anime, they just scream really hard and through...
Fun fact, wall clipping canonically happened in Transformers Prime.
Love it.
We could watch that episode if you want, but you don't like to have fun. So
in the anime, they just figure out that they can just scream really hard and win through sheer force of will. In the comic books, they realize they can bust through the edges of the panels and read ahead to the end.
The indomitable Transformer spirit.
Those were the only ones I could really come up with. But you get the idea of like they're utilizing their change to their strength,
like Spider-Verse. But
yeah, I mean, yes, there is a Spider-Verse element of that. Spider-Verse plays with different animation styles, but those animation styles are never really like tangible. And there's never like an element of them altering reality, whereas this would be like things are different in almost a metatextual sort of way. So during the final battle, all the different versions, so they pretty much all fail to stop the main altering reality tower from being powered up. So all the different versions of reality are converging at this last tower. All the Autobots and Decepticons come to this final location. Megatron wants to destroy the tower immediately, which would then destroy everything that's been changed. So these towers are still active all over the Earth, so they're still in their new forms, and it would destroy those. But Optimus Prime wants to find a way to shut it down so that it would protect anything that's been changed, because he sees it as a right to exist. Even though they're changed, they should still continue to exist. The Autobots, along with the Decepticons, who have all changed some way. So all the Transformers who were at those different locations, they remain in their changed form as live action, stop motion, comic book, whatever it is, toy.
I can hear my rendering laptop quaking in the next room.
And they decide that they want to stay the way they've changed. They like that they've changed. And they decide the Decepticons and Autobots team up together against Megatron to stop him. And they all use their newly learned skills to fight back against him. Megatron is defeated, and he's thrown into the tower, where he is stuck in a perpetual state of fluctuation between all the states. So it's his ultimate fear against change.
Awful.
He's continually going through all these different changes. Optimus gives one last plea to G-Axis, who listens, because upon witnessing the battle, he has a change of heart. He realizes that while the original form of something is important to its origins, things can evolve and take different forms, but still have value. He shuts down the tower, but the pieces of Earth and the Transformers who have changed remain in their changed state. We see the different parts of the Earth and the Ultra Transformers happily living their lives in new and exciting ways. I didn't really come up with an idea for a title until just now, just to kind of grab people. Transformers Change or Die.
Interesting.
So my concept here is two things. One, I think it'd be really cool to see Transformers in so many different mediums. Mm-hmm. And
interesting.
The subtext here is that it's fighting against toxic fandom who never wants anything to change. That Megatron symbolizes and G-Axis, his whole thing is that he thinks something is only pure if it's in an original form. And what the Transformers learn is as they change, there's good things to be found in those changes, which is what I like about Transformers, is that Transformers is always changing and evolving. Different mediums contribute different things. I think that would bake really well into this movie of pretty much saying to the fans, it's good for things to change. It shouldn't stay in its original form. So that was just the idea that I came up with at 1:30 this morning.
Wow. Interesting. You put a lot of thought into that.
Yeah, it was pretty much once I found G-Axis, I just started Google searching.
Great fan fiction writer.
Once I started,
Get to cracking.
Yeah, yeah. Cameron, I hate fan fiction. Also, Cameron writes a whole
That's
plot synopsis.
actually his username. I hate fan fiction.
I did some Google searching for different Transformers villains, and once I came upon him, it really clicked.
I've never heard of him before.
Yeah, I mean he's probably relatively obscure, but I think
who likes G2?
I mean I think there's different things I wanted to see. I think forcing the hero and the original villain to team up against a new villain, always fun. Mm-hmm. I love playing with mediums and formats. This feels like everyone wants to cite Spider-Verse, but it's like Spider-Verse, but kind of the next logical step. I feel like I'm trying to think. I feel like I'm drawing inspiration from something, but it's not right in the forefront of my mind. But so yeah, it was just a fun.
No, that does sound super fun.
Theoretical. We'll never see this, unfortunately. Anything, but maybe.
Unless.
It's just. I like to put things out into the world that kind of challenge, like there's other ways to do things. And you should, not everything needs to be meta. Not everything, this is a little overplayed, is things being about themselves. But I think Transformers is a franchise that is so popular, has so many different things that making no Transformers movie has ever really been about itself. So I'd be interested in seeing that. Yeah, Transformers Change or Die is my terrible title that I have for it.
I think I'd personally be upset if I was a Transformer and I got stuck in the Chibi verse. I think that would. I think I'd be a little upset. I'd be like, man, of all of them.
Though, I think this is coming into style. One of the best scenes of Inside Out 2 was when you had the 2D animated character and the early 2000s video game style animated character. That was playing, and that was very much text. That was part of the story, was their different forms.
Gosh, I can't believe Inside Out made us sit through a full minute of anger digging through that.
Do you know what I realized I'm actually very much taking inspiration from visually? Is it's Amazing World of Gumball.
That makes sense. I was trying to figure out, I was like, in my brain, there's something that works out. But what a mashup of mediums.
I never really watched Amazing World of Gumball, not particularly a fan out of just lack of watching it, but I so respect the visual style, just the visual creativity
Respect the bit.
of the ability to bring together so many different forms into one. So yeah, I think Lego Movie also kind of does this to some degree of the physical elements of the world are part of the narrative. So yeah, I'm glad you liked it. I think we took two different approaches, but I think it's a lot of fun.
Me, narrative, please. You, style.
Okay, so that takes us into Meme Minute. But is it long? Oh, present time! Yes. Oh, so exciting.
You don't have to keep the bag if you don't want to.
Okay, it's a cat Christmas bag.
It says Merry and Bright.
Very nice. What do we got? Oh, I love gifts. This is so thoughtful of you. What do we got? The Art of My Neighbor Totoro! Oh my gosh! Oh! So, Rachel did previously get me Art of Isle of Dogs, which is a very fun book. I like it a lot. And this tops that because, I love Totoro so much. Oh, thank you.
When your mom gets you that Christmas present, she's sitting on the couch.
Oh, this is beautiful.
I thought you'd enjoy something like that.
Oh, absolutely. This makes me so happy. Oh, there's a map of the town. That's brilliant. Oh, that's so clever. Yeah, this is great. Oh, you got character design. Oh, there's the mom with her big forehead, her 5 head.
All the kids got a bit.
Oh, there's the bathing scene. Okay, wow.
I did not know that was in there. I'm sorry.
Well, we didn't have any from Bumblebee, so we had to get a in there.
I mean,
this is great.
That's in rural families when there's not a lot of water. That's very common. But seeing it in the 2000s is kind of huh.
Oh, you got landscape shots. Oh, anatomically correct cat bus. Love it. Sad. May's the little sister, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, just sitting sadly with her husk of corn. Oh, the soot gremlins. Oh, this is great. Thank you so much, Rachel.
You're welcome.
This is a very good best friend gift because you know me so well.
I was like,
I love it. I love it.
What does the man want?
Yes, this is beautiful.
Do you want me to put it over here because there's a plate of brownies by you?
Yes, I'll put it right here.
Just put it on the crumbs. Cool. It's fine.
Okay. And now our gift to you, audience. Meme Minute, but it's longer than a minute. But is it longer than it takes me to write an idea for? Is it longer than it takes us to get through anything on this podcast?
And to start off this purely audible portion of our podcast, I have a minute-long video.
A minute?
Yeah. You ready? It's actually 55 seconds.
Fine.
Darth Maul speedruns Minecraft.
Oh, jeez.
First of all, have fun.
Still better than the Minecraft movie, probably. So he's chopping out a tree. So they've cropped in live action footage of him.
Yes, they're cropping live action footage over just random clips from.
Yeah, this has got a decent vibe to it. I don't know enough.
The Iron Golem. He's making obsidian. So he's gonna go to the Nether. So he's in the nether now. And it's funny because they use the scene of him where he's red. So he's collecting blaze rods and ender pearls so he can find the portal.
None of this means anything to me.
So he's fighting the ender dragon and he wins. So he has speedrun Minecraft in 59.91 seconds.
Great. Thank you for that.
Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed that purely audible experience. That's all the videos I got. How many memes you got?
I've got one video as well. I think I've got 6 or 7 memes. How many do you have? I'm guessing 16.
13.
Okay, I went over. I have one video. We never really got a ton of Rise the Beast memes, so I was very pleasantly surprised to find this one.
Pleasantly surprised.
Caption: POV, you ask your Asian friend what he wants to eat. It's Unicron in Rise of the Beast. Rice!
Anyways.
Okay, I'm going to see if I potentially have another video saved that... Just give me just 1 second here. No. And I do not. Okay.
No, I don't think
so you have 13. So go ahead and give me 2 memes.
All right. Are you ready?
I have 9? I have a lot
wow. Me to myself. This is annoying. This conversation is annoying. This person is annoying. I hope I'm hiding it well. My face. It's very disgusted looking Godzilla.
That's got strong Rachel vibes to it. All right, give me another one.
2. Goal physique.
I can never remember his name.
Manila.
Manila, the little
front facing
Godzilla.
image of Manila from some of the Toho films.
Weak aura. At. Strong aura. AT. I will die on this hill.
That's
The
AT-AT.
walkers.
So will I. Yeah, it's AT-AT.
Definitely weak aura to call it at.
Aura. Dr. Serizawa was 27 when he killed Godzilla. It's too late. Give up.
That's good. That's really
and a bunch of the other words have been like crossed out. So
So that was a black and white.
it's the original Dr. Serizawa.
I did not realize that Dr. Serizawa from the new ones was named after a character from the original one. I did not realize that.
Okay, so lore time. So the Dr. Serizawa from the 2014 and 2019 films is named after Dr. Serizawa from the original film, who created the oxygen destroyer and sacrificed himself to kill Godzilla.
There you go. That makes a lot of sense. Uncovered Ralph McQuarrie illustration of the light and dark side midichlorians.
Oh.
It's like it's 2 very low detail 3D models. And
it's a particle simulation of the germs that come out of your mouth when you're talking to someone. I don't
They're
like
blue
that
and red.
considering how close we are. I don't like that.
It's so
I'm not
good.
a fan.
Anyways, what do you got next?
How good I think I am at strategy games versus how good I probably am. It's Thrawn and
one of the admirals that Vader chokes in Empire Strikes Back.
I don't know, unnamed. The Veers account would probably tell me who it is.
Probably Nadine or I don't remember anyone's name. Okay, so we have the very popular meme format from the last few weeks of the workers standing at the assembly line. It's like, oh, I guess we're making blank now. Except for this time, it's just C-3PO and some battle droids. And it says, well, shut me down. Machines making machines.
Oh, my God.
Reference to Attack of the Clones.
That's a good one. Sees a cat. Brain. Do it. Just do it. But why? Meow. It's Merle the Loth cat. It's a beans.
I like that one. Relevant to this week's topic. If you don't love me at my Bumblebee in the World War II scene from Transformers 5, then you don't deserve me at my Bumblebee from 2018.
Then I don't deserve Bumblebee, apparently. I don't know if this one's been on the pod before. I am literally a walking nuclear power plant. What is your ability? Monkey.
Yeah, so good. Those are all. I'm always down for a monkey joke.
Monkey. It's Godzilla and Kong, obviously. You gotta specify.
As if we didn't have enough moments so far.
No, I'm scared.
Young Anakin being forced by his parents to learn the harmonica a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Actually, that's inaccurate because he didn't have a father.
So it's someone has photoshopped young Anakin's face onto dying Vader from the end of episode 6. But
he does look like he's wearing a harmonica.
Man, it is unsettling to look at.
So this is a screenshot of a text conversation. Please don't do this. I seriously can't live without you. I didn't cheat on you. I didn't mean to send that. And it's the image accidentally sent is a behind the scenes of Toho Godzilla where someone's in the suit but there's no legs. So it's human legs.
Scene from Attack of the Clones whenever Anakin and Obi-Wan meet up with Padme for the first time. Padme, Annie, my goodness, you've grown. Obi-Wan, Padme, bonk, go to horny jail. Bonks her in the head with the bat, the bonk bat.
You ready?
Yes. Well, in honor of the actress who voiced Bobby Hill being in this episode, how do I look that up? How do I look up that Bobby sound? I have no idea what to search.
I know how to do it. So Google or YouTube surprised Bobby Hill because it's the scene of Bobby and the niece.
There are no cops.
There it is.
He has a gem. It's just an image of a roaring video game Godzilla. That's all it is.
And the AE character.
Merged.
Mm-hmm. Me opens a bag of chips. My friend, can I have one, please? Me, Optimus Prime. You'll never stop at one.
That's me, you know. See, she looked at me. She knows. When your wife asks where you were in the store for the past 15 minutes as she was comparing the peanut butter brands to save 3 cents.
Wow, we're gonna really try to bring this guy back, huh?
Yeah. I can't remember what he's from. Is it
it's
Modern Family?
Kevin James.
Yeah, Kevin
from
James.
King of Queens.
And where he's like doing that shrug thing. He's
Like
standing
shy
in the
shrug
Transformers aisle.
with his hands in his pockets.
Oh, it's Star Wars and Transformers, actually.
You're serious?
I'm dead
Oh my
serious.
gosh.
Relatable.
Truly a
the amount of times
Transformers.
we've gone to Target and I'm like, Cameron, can we stop at the Transformers aisle? Or the
always
Star
fun.
Wars.
So another obligatory visual meme. It is a matrix. Not necessarily a matrix. It's like a diagram of Yoda, Anakin, Obi-Wan, Dooku's names on the top and left side, and each of the 16 squares is 2 of those characters combined.
Oh.
So some highlights, for example, Dooku's face on Obi-Wan's body, Dooku's face on Yoda's body,
Lots of Dooku.
Obi-Wan's face on Anakin's body.
Wait, go back. I think that's just Mr. Beast.
Anakin's eyes on Obi-Wan's face. Oh, Anakin. Okay, Anakin's face on Dooku's head, but it has the beard but no mustache is very funny. But obviously the best ones are the 4 with Yoda's face.
Ugh, I don't like the way they look.
Especially Dooku. He looks like original Planet of the Apes ape.
Does. Ooh, I don't like that.
Big fan of that. I have one more.
I got 4.
Okay, give me 2.
This is a screenshot from a commercial for a concert for hurricane relief, I believe, potentially after Hurricane Katrina.
Okay.
Mace Windu doesn't care about Wookiees. it's
What a reference. It was Kanye West saying that George Bush doesn't care about black people.
and it's
Very good. Oh, man.
God, On the TV
Especially the
broadcast.
fact that Keanu Moody's standing next to Michael Myers, the actor. Too much. That's good. I like that one. What else you got?
Do you think they asked him to pose like this, or he just did that? User was banned for this post. And it's just a stock image of Godzilla running
Nice.
with his arms out like he's gonna get you.
He's gonna get you. Oh, okay. My last one. Right. Okay. So it's Obi-Wan and Anakin talking in episode 3. And Obi-Wan to Anakin. Be careful of your friend Palpatine. And your pal, Friend Patine.
I overcooked the gator.
You got so many Godzilla memes.
Burning Godzilla.
That's so funny because last week's episode I said I don't know when we'll talk about Godzilla before again, but you're keeping it alive. You're keeping the Zilla and Starformer Zillamation alive.
The violence has escalated. Click OK to continue. It's just an image of Godzilla.
Just
minus
all
one.
the same. This is like the same meme almost.
Oh, Athena, you gonna go to the bag? No, she's gonna go stare at her empty bowl because she eat too much.
Okay, this is the part of Meme Minute where we each guess which meme the other one made.
Shmeem.
Obviously, Rachel increases her chances of winning just by brute force of the quantity of
Cameron.
memes.
The memes
I
are too
found
good.
almost all of my memes today. I think I had 2 before today.
You gotta be on your phone more often at work.
No,
That's
see
where I
that
find most of that.
I had to find other ones just so I could play the game. Okay, me to myself. This person's annoying. Conversation's annoying. I hope I'm hiding it well. That's very Rachel. Goal physique. I could see you making that one. A Dr. Sarazawa joke. See, if it were you though, it'd probably be about modern Sarazawa, not classic one. Sees a cat.
Did you make this one?
So you're asking me if I made the C-3PO
The conveyor belt
conveyor
one?
belt one? Is that your
Yes.
final answer? I did not make that
Ah, man.
one. That one is very, very funny. I am literally a walking nuclear power plant. What's your ability? Monkey. I didn't cheat on you. I
Did you
didn't
go
mean
to
to send that.
No.
It's really good. Oh, man. My best guess. I'm down to like 2 or 3. I'm gonna guess. Did you make the Seize a Cat one?
I did.
Oh, nice. That's good. I like that one. Just do it. But why? Meow. I love Merly. I've considered making multiple Merly memes.
Merly's so perfect.
The one lingering quality that we remember about Ahsoka is the live action.
Sorry,
Loaf
I
Cat.
think about, excuse you, I think about Amonis Fondi all the time.
Who is that?
He played Ezra.
Oh, well, he did a good job. He did a good job.
My mom casually texted
And
me
the score
other
is
day,
really good.
Who's your favorite Jedi guy again?
Okay, bringing up the score.
So did you make this one?
I did not make the Bumblebee one.
Did you make the AT-AT one?
No.
Which one did you make?
I actually have to.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to be mad if you go, I actually forgot to put my meme in this.
I actually thought about that as a possibility of like, what if I did that?
I
did the Ralph McQuarrie illustration of the Dark Side one.
Nice. Dang. Another loss. Was this loss?
Okay. In week 35 of this stupid game, I improved to 19 and 18. I'm above 500, and you are still above 5. We are pretty much tied. I'm at 19 and 18. You're at 18 and 17. So we're pretty even.
I'm at 18. What?
Because you just had a loss.
You're
Last week, you were at 18 and 16, right?
The last score I had was 19 and 15. You were 18 and I was 19-15 on the August 23rd. We didn't have a meme one last time.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. I must have put the last one in wrong. Okay.
That's, I mean,
No, I'll take your word for it.
Notorious for not being able to type
No, that makes more
numbers.
sense.
Apparently last time I just posted the score and I didn't actually put the memes, so who knows?
Okay. So you're at 19 and 16. I'm at 19 and 18. So we have equal wins, but I have 2 more losses than you.
Devastating.
So catching up. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, guys. This was a fun episode. I think I liked doing the pitch idea a lot. And the memes were fun. I think I would like to take a break from the meme game. I don't find enough memes to like. If I don't have enough memes, it's kind of tricky to play the game.
Cameron, I have my memes planned out like 4 weeks.
I think we can do Meme Minute, but if you want to make some memes and bring them, feel free. But I just don't have enough memes.
This is the worst news I've heard in a long time.
We can chat about it, but like if I can't play, the game doesn't really work. If there were 3 of us,
Get good.
great.
Caleb, we need you to come back so you can lose because Cameron doesn't want to play anymore.
As always, thank you to Caleb Jacoby for our intro and outro music. Props to Rachel for our outwork and giving me an artwork book, and also for running the Twitter account at Rebels Robots Pod.
Props to Cameron for running our Facebook and our Instagram. You get to watch him post old memes.
I've fallen behind on that. I need to get back on that. I've got some ideas for some reels, though, that I want to make, so we'll see how that goes. Give us something to read on the pod. Leave a review, tweet, or DM us memes. Oh, I forgot to say thank you to Athena for editing.
Cameron just said DM us memes, and we're not going to do Meme Minute anymore.
I didn't say we were not going to do Meme Minute. I said the game. Next week, or next episode, 2 weeks from now, Transformers 1. And also, we forgot to talk about the Godzilla prequel comic and Avatar: Last Airbender. Next time. We'll do it next time.
This is Cameron and Rachel signing off, saying,
Good night, everyone. Unplanned. Unplanned. We both did it. That's great. Oh, what a fun podcast. I can't. That was so good.
did I have...
Rachel just showed like a stock image of 2 people and their brain waves are connecting. Brain rot connection.
Brain rot.